Hey everybody, today we're going to do a modification to the Kyosho 4x4 in order to reduce the pinion size from the stock gear of 10 to either a 7, 8, or 9 tooth pinion. A number of people have asked about reducing the gear in these things just to get slower, more torque, better for, I guess, a lot of crawling. Also may be that with these are 1.1 or 1.0 tires, and of course they're a lot bigger than stock, so that naturally affects your gear ratio, sort of like increasing a pinion. So going down in gears may be good if you're using the bigger tires, and I know I've seen some out there that are even way bigger than these. So that's just sort of the thought behind going down in the gearing, get that little bit more torque and a little more power. Of course, obviously you lose the speed, but this should be a fairly quick modification to do. The worst part's cutting down the pinion so that it fits in the tranny case. So that's what we'll mainly be doing here, and then we'll install it in the truck. So first thing we'll do is start cutting on the pinion. Anytime, for safety first, I've got my glasses and everything here, so make sure you're cutting and grinding and do all that stuff safely. You'll need a few things to do this modification other than the spacers. These are the spacers that I make, and they're listed on my eBay listing. You can also find me on social media, but there's a couple of these in there. Works for 7, 8, and 9. One's got 7 printed on it. The other one has 8, 9 on it. The 8 sort of floats between these. You probably just want to see where your mesh fits best, but I generally use this 8/9. So you'll need that set, and then the other thing you'll need is the pinion set from, actually it's the Mini-z race cars, like the MR03s. The part number for that, I believe, is MZ6BK. I'll try to remember to put that in the description, but they come in these little packs. You can see I've already removed pinions from them, but you'll just want to make sure you get the pack. If you want all 7, 8, and 9, I think you can also buy them individually. If you want all 8 tooth or whatever, you can do that too. So you'll need that, and that's what we'll be modifying. The other thing, as far as tools that you'll need, I've got some drill bits and this little handy manual driller. The drill bits are a 1.8 millimeter drill bit and a 2.0 millimeter drill bit. I'll explain why the two sizes as we go through the modifying of the pinion, but I find that a little bit easier to work with. I got these things pretty cheap. I don't remember, eBay, Amazon, whatever your favorite site is, but I think I got them all for well less than 20 bucks, and they've come in handy a ton of times. So besides that, I prefer doing basically a Dremel. I believe this is a wood bit. It's sort of like a little mini saw blade. I've had it for many years. You can use a cutoff wheel, but of course that usually heats up plastic more than it actually cuts it. So just have to be careful of warping and the heat and stuff that it generates. But you can use that. You can probably even use a super sharp knife, X-Acto knife or something. But that to me is a little more risky. You're trying to hold something as small as one of these pinions. So that's pretty much it. I have a spare motor. It's an old broke motor. I think it locks up or something. So I use that to help hold it and cut. So other than that, I think that's probably about it as far as those pieces. That's what you need. I'm going to go ahead and get started cutting on the pinions. I've done all the sizes. The 6 tooth that actually comes in these, there's a reason that doesn't work, and I don't even bother listing it. It's because there's not enough plastic around the gears. If you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but once you drill a hole any bigger in there, the gears literally come off. So there's no point in even doing that. So I actually sort of like the 8-tooth. It seems to have really good torque. Still has just a little bit of speed to it. So, but it seems to be my favorite. So I'm just gonna take that out, trim off the little bit of plastic there, and from there we're gonna start with the smaller drill bit. Say these should be right at about 1.8 millimeters. Bigger one right at 2. So I'm going to start with the smaller one. I start with the smaller one because it easily goes directly into where the pinion goes onto the motor. That way it sort of automatically gets itself lined up. The bigger drill bit that we actually need to be to won't do that. So I'm just going to go all the way through this, and you'll notice there is a small little hole already all the way through. It's just it's not big enough. So we're going to go all the way through this pinion. Again, be very careful with your working with your tools. And this is why it's pretty tough plastic. That's why I don't think a X-Acto knife will do it, but you know, maybe somebody's got a sharper blade than I do. All right, I'm going to change out. Now I'm going to change out to the bigger bit. Now the bigger bit will be just a little too big to just slide in there, but we'll just gently get it started. You just have to sort of slowly work it through there. Again, even drill bits are tough. That's why I don't like using a power drill bit for this. I could probably chuck these things into the Dremel and go right through it, but I'm afraid it'd probably go through my finger as well. So I actually had that happen one time while putting some headlights in a Mini-Z race car. So now we've got that hole all the way through there. I'm actually going to take it, put it gears first onto this spare motor. And what I'm going to do, get it on there just far enough to where I can cut it off right back here, just past where the gears start. So this is where the saw blade comes in. Safety first. Alright. You should be left with the gears and just a little bit of the flat spot on the back there. So now we can start installing it in a truck. I'm sure there's probably a more elegant way of getting the motor and stuff out, but I just find that you can remove either the whole body mount, or you can just sort of angle it down like so. For those that haven't taken the motor and stuff out, just have to take the cover off. Then there's a little clip up here on top. You have to sort of pop that off. I just use the motor, pull the whole thing out, take the transmission cover over there. That's the stock spacer used for the 10 tooth, and I'm not sure what the other one is. And then the stock tooth, if you notice, there's usually a very small gap there. I'll just take a small flathead screwdriver, maybe even the edge of a knife. Just want to get it started and get it pried up. Take that off. From there, I'm going to grab the 8 tooth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it on there. Probably go not quite all the way to the motor. And then get the 8/9. Slip it onto the motor. And slide the motor back in place. Now, from here, what we want to watch out for, you want to just, you can see that, you just want to make sure that the gear is as far over as it can go without that flat part touching the spur. You definitely don't want the spur trying to run on that flat part of the gear. It's just going to wear your spur out. You also want to check your mesh. So let's put the motor cover back on before we do the transmission cover. Make sure that band that goes across the top of the motor goes inside that open spot on the motor clip. And just make sure the back goes on there real well. From there, what we're going to do is we're just going to sort of hold the spur a little bit and just see if that pinion wiggles ever so slightly, which means there's ever so slight small gap in there. So that feels pretty good. What you can do, if you find that it's either a little too tight or a little too loose, you can try the different spacers that come in the kit, or you can also take like a little piece of folded up paper. I think this is what I use on my race cars. It's actually just the back side of the tire tape. You can actually just take some of that and either put behind the motor spacer, which will push the motor out just slightly away from the gear. That's if it's too tight. If it's too loose, you can either try the other one, or you can take and put this on the back side, and it'll just help push it up there a little bit more. So, but this one seems to work pretty good. So we're going to put the transmission cover back on, which that's usually what gives me fits, but I think I'm getting used to it. I just have to sort of slide it on from the side. I'm sure there's probably a much better way, but there we go. If you want, you can actually go ahead and test the gear mesh. Probably could have done that with the transmission off. Yep, that sounds pretty good. So now I'm just going to fasten the body mount back on there. Body on. Got the little gadgets and gizmos on there. And there we go. Let's test the plenty of torque. All right. So other than that, that's pretty much it, I think. There's just make sure you keep safety in mind, using the little drill bits and Dremels and cutting blades and all that. This is probably one of the modifications I've done with more cutting and stuff. Usually there's not hardly any cutting or anything, so just make sure you're careful with all that. Other than that, I think that that pretty much wraps up today's modifications. So thanks to everybody that's been getting all the little gadgets and gizmos and hex adapters and wheel extenders and roof racks and all that stuff. Appreciate it. And I've had a ton of fun making stuff for these little things. I normally have my Suzuki Jimny out here, but it's actually going through a pretty major modification right this second, which hopefully I'll have something to reveal on the Jimny in the coming weeks, probably a little bit on that. So other than that, hope this has been a helpful video. Hopefully you got your motor stuff installed and enjoying those lower 7, 8, and 9 tooth gears. So anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to find me on social media. Hit me up through eBay, Facebook, any of those places. And I guess just let me know if you got any questions or positive, negative comments. I take them all. So anyways, thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate it, and keep on crawling.